Where are we going over here?
No, we're going.
Oh, what's that?
Yep.
Wonderful, thank you.
I'm really kicking Shane off.
Well done.
Shane.
Hi guys, thanks Sinead for
You
setting
fixed it.
such a high bar to try and follow, but that is good, that's what we need to do. Good evening, good afternoon everybody. It's a real honour to be here today. I'm Nina Carberry and I'm a mother of two beautiful little girls. I'm a retired National Hunt Jockey and a winner of Dancing with the Stars, and was a coach on Ireland's Fittest Family, and now I'm a candidate for Fine Gael in the Midlands North West constituency for the European elections on June the 7th. When I talk about the empowerment of women, I see that as a way of recognising your own ability to empower yourself. I worked and competed in an industry where the opportunities were there for the taking if you had the focus and the drive to grab them with both hands. Sorry. I had the background in horse racing. My dad was a champion jockey. My two brothers were very successful, and the horses were a huge part of our lives. My brother has always told me I had the talent from a very young age. But talent is one thing, and it'll only get you so far. You have to work to succeed. I had to build relationships. I had to build and trust relationships between a jockey and a trainer. They had to know I was capable of getting the job done. You needed to maintain those relationships. Sometimes that meant taking a lesser ride in a race to keep an owner and trainer happy. You worked hard on your fitness. You studied the form of the race you were riding in. You came up with a strategy of how the race would pan out. You embraced the fact that riding at 9 o'clock at night in Ballinrobe meant only a few hours sleep before you were back to work again at 7 o'clock in the morning. That was the life you chose, and you were either able for it or you weren't. And in the middle of this, you were dealing with seasoned jockeys. They were not going to open the door for you and give you a pat on the back and welcome you in. You needed to earn their respect, and that was done by showing them how capable you are of getting your job done. It's a cutthroat game where lots of other riders want to be and make their name. They would only love to have the chance to fill your slot, so you were always there to perform. It was not always a bed of roses. Some other jockeys didn't really warm to the fact that a young girl was getting the opportunities that they didn't get. Yes, there was a hint of jealousy in it, if I'm to be honest. But one particular jockey would go out of his way to make me uncomfortable in a race. His horse was always too close to mine. He would lean in on top of me and make me tight for room. And even when he was losing position, he would come in on top of me and just make life hard for me. I actually never forget it. It was in Galway, down the back straight. But what do you do when this happens? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So you have to stand up for yourself. So I waited for my opportunity to draw the line in the sand. It was a normal race, and this jockey decided to play his games again. But I was ready for him this time. As we travelled down the back straight in Galway, he came over and he began to lean in on top of me again, make my horse too keen. So I reached down and I grabbed his stirrup and I held it. So when you're travelling at 30 miles an hour on a horseback and the only thing that separates you from the ground is the balance on your stirrup, the last thing you want to do and see is anyone holding your stirrup. So I squared him in the eye and I said, "Leave me alone or I will do it." So it's fair to say he did leave me alone and he never did it again. My big break came when Dabaroon won the Fred Winter in Cheltenham Festival. It was 18 years since a woman had won at the festival, and the press coverage was huge after it. And it really pushed me out onto the main stage. I was on a high, and what could go wrong? Well, the very next day, I was riding at a favourite in the Cheltenham Bumper, which is a huge betting race. And I mounted my horse, headed down to the start, with plenty of well wishes from the crowd, and I thought this could be my day again. So the tape went up, the horse whipped around, dumped me on my backside and on the ground, and I was looking. Not let alone did I let down the trainer and the owner. I was watching from the starting position with 80,000 people booing and cheering at me that they've lost all their money. Well, I can safely say that was the hardest walk back down to the weigh room, and I must say it was a challenge, but it made me tougher, made me more resilient, and that takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it took time to build that resilience. But that was certainly the starting point for me to try and build that resilience. And as I learned through my riding career, some days you were a top dog, but some days you are the lamppost. Good days definitely make up for the bad. And 6 more Cheltenham Festival winners followed after that. A victory in the Irish Grand National for my uncle Arthur, and 412 career wins in total after that. But nothing lasts forever, and my little daughter Rosie was born, and I knew the right time for me to leave was then and to start something new. I always was buying and selling horses, and that was going to be my focus now. But I got a call from my agent, Trevor, who changed all that. And Dancing with the Stars had asked me to come on their show. So, anyone who knows me told me at the time that my dancing is not something that would be admired. So I said, I wanted to get that competitive buzz back. So I said I'd give it a go. And I'm not going to lie, it was the hardest thing I ever did. It was training long nights, routines were very, very difficult, but I applied myself like I applied everything. I wanted to give it 110% like I do for everything, and I worked at it very hard. I kept the head down and I kept working, and that work paid off. And Pasquale and I went on to manage to win Dance with the Stars, which is the most unbelievable feeling of all time. But it did open my eyes up to a new world. And that may be there there was more out there than just horses for me. And my success in the field didn't have to be pigeonholed me into one particular path. And that's a lesson for us all, that don't tell yourself you can't do something. The success on Dancing with the Stars led me on then to be a coach in Ireland's Fittest Family. It was a brilliant show to be part of, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. And it was very special. It's a very special show to be part of. You meet new families, and you're trying to get them to the finals. There's a lot of pressure on, and you have to get the job done for them as well. You compete with the other coaches, which is the most important part of it, and making them feel bad when you win. But it has opened up a new world for me, and when a new world is open to you, you begin to ask yourself some questions. And I've always had the passion to try and make a difference. And looking at my 2 girls and wondering what the future might hold for them and future generations, I decided to put my hand up and to put myself into the world of politics. I set myself on winning a seat for Fine Gael in Midlands North West constituency for the European elections. It's been a great journey so far, but the feeling that you have to have a real impact on the future is both exciting and humbling. Europe plays a vital role in all aspects of our lives. It impacts farming, fisheries, transport, education, rural development, and much, much more. And I've told you about the challenges I've faced and how I've dealt with them. And I want to make my drive, perseverance, and determination work for you. Let's put women on the inside track again. So I want to say thank you so much for Equitas today, for giving this opportunity for all the women today to have their say and our paths of how we are here today. So thank you so much. I'm going to get very inspired by all the women I've heard already. But the few things that really helped me through my whole life is the support I had from my family and friends, from my husband Ted. And it's hard to make the jump because it is. You know, everyone knows it's hard to step into new challenges, but I think I thrive from it, and I really want to make a difference. And the network of people is what is supporting me. And I definitely agree with Sinead. You need to surround your people with positive thoughts and not have negative people. You can do anything you want if you put your mind to it, and that's what I'm trying to do now. And I'm hopefully going to try and represent everyone now in Europe with a bit of luck on June the 7th. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm here to ask anything.
I'm gonna. Can you turn this on? Excellent. I know you're in a rush, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions. All right. You grew up surrounded by extremely strong people. Who has been your biggest mentor and why?
My biggest mentor.
Yeah, you've been surrounded by a lot of
suppose
great people.
my dad was always a very big mentor to me, but he was a guy, a man that he mentored through the way he never really would interfere. He'd always let me make mistakes, which is very important to learn from. But he would always be there for me anytime I wanted. But he led by example and what he achieved. And I suppose my brother, who is probably the most gifted man ever on a horse, I feel, I'm probably being biased, but I always watched him and I always strove to be as good as him. And I suppose I've got a lot to thank him for where I ended up in racing, because I felt that he was the one that drove me to be a champion, yeah.
What kind of leadership traits do you think you took from watching them and from the journey you've been on?
Just keep pushing yourself. I always wanted to be better than the lads. I always want to be one step further than them, and that's what it takes. You need to be at the top of your game and better. When my first ride came, I looked at myself and I was very proud of where I finished. I finished 3rd. But when I look back on the replay that day, I was mortified by the way I looked on the horse. And it was like British Bake Off. It was tasted lovely, but it was a terrible presentation. So that's the way I kind of try to describe it, people. My style was horrific. I was unbalancing the horse. And I realised watching myself back that I was learning I can't look out of place with the lads. I have to look better than them. And so that's what I strove to do from that day forward, that I have to look stylish and look powerful in the finish. So it came over time, but that's where I tried to get to and look better than Paul in the finish. Yeah.
Because there'll be a lot of women that are going to look in on this and they're going to see all the things that you're up to. So how do you balance the demands of being a mother, a businesswoman, being a political candidate now, and advocating for the community as well? I mean, this is you have a big battle ahead of you. And
this is probably the biggest challenge I've ever taken on. But to be honest, the campaign is relentless at the minute. But I do realise that after June the 7th, you get more structure. But no, it's not easy. And as Sinead said, you just have to push yourself. But as like the girl said earlier, you have to bring the kids with you and you have to involve them, and no, it's not going to be easy, and we have to make time for that as well. But I want to be a role model for them as well, and I think that's important, that that they get to follow their dreams and try to achieve. So I hope I can be a good role model for them to look upon.
I like it. Like, I have the privilege of leading 2 brands, and there's one word that's the same in both taglines: change. Be the change for the Grassroots Gazette and empowering change together. And we are at a change maker conference. So my final question is that why you're getting into politics? To be an advocate, to be a change maker, to actually have influence? And where does that motivation come from? Yeah,
to get this chance to do this is something that I never thought I'd get to do. And to be honest, to me, able to change something for the good is what I really want to do. And you just grab it with both hands. You have to run with it and just take every opportunity you can to make a difference. And that's what I'm doing.
I'd say you're surely the only political candidate going for Europe that has rode 398 winners in Ireland, National Hunting Flat, 23 in Britain and 2 in Germany. Folks, the one and only Nina Carberry, thank you so much. No, up you come.